Hello, this is Professor Alberto Espinosa for iTech 455 and iTech 630. And in this lesson, we're going to use Microsoft Visio 2013 to diagram data models. So actually, this is quite simple. This is the Visio screen. So in order to start doing the diagram, you have to select the featured category and the feature tab in here and select cross-foot database notation. If you don't see this, maybe it's not in your feature group in there, but you can select categories. And under categories, there's a group of templates for software and database. You select that one, and then you'll find it right here. So it's a cross-foot database notation that we're going to be using. So let's select that. And once you select that, you'll have the stencil for drawing. And you have all the symbols, which is just a few symbols that we need here. So before I begin, I want to show you the completed diagrams. These diagrams are available on Blackboard, so you can go to Blackboard and print this out or have it on your screen so you can follow me in the lab. But let me make a quick comment here. You can see the difference between these two diagrams. The one in the left is the diagram that was produced with Microsoft Visio 2007, and the one on the right is 2013. I think we have lost a lot of features on data modeling in going from version 2007 to 2013. 2007 was a true modeling tool where you could set up a whole bunch of attributes for all the elements in the drawing, like the type of relationships you wanted, and whether you wanted to display just primary keys or just the table names or the whole thing. On the right hand side is the drawing that you get from with Visio 2013, and Visio 2013 is pretty much a drawing tool. It's not so much a data modeling tool. So if you want to do any serious data modeling, I don't think this will really help too much. The other problem that I see here is that you can see that the diagram on the left is much more compressed, it's much more manageable, it's much more clear. The one on the right, it's very hard to format, it's very hard to fit in one page. As you can see, I only have 5 tables in the screen and I'm already out of space. So that's a big problem. On the positive side, it's just a lot easier to do simple data models. So if you want to do a simple data model, 2013 will do the trick. If you need to do more sophisticated models and bigger models, you might need to find another tool. However, you can build large data models over multiple pages and then copy your whole data model to a Microsoft Word document if you want. And I'm going to show you some tricks of things we can do, but keep this handy. And we're going to be using this diagram here on the right. We're going to try to reproduce this in Visio. So let's go back to Microsoft Visio. And here it is. So we need to build a data model that has 5 tables, and you saw the layout that I used. So I'm just going to drag the entity symbol here to the screen, and I'm going to drag it 5 times to roughly coincide with the layout that you saw before in the example. So we're going to reproduce that. Okay, so I have my 5 entities. So now naturally this is extremely hard to read. Okay. So what I would like to do is first of all, I'm going to blow it up so you can see it better, okay? And before I do that, this font is not that useful, and you will see that when you finish this, it's going to be extremely hard to read. So what I like to do is I like to select all of this. And then I like to go over here and change the font here to something that is a little more readable, maybe 14. 14 might be a little too big. Actually, 14 seems to work fine. So let's do it like that for now, and then we'll see if it works. If it doesn't work, we'll reset it to a different size. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to click on the entity name and we're going to give it the right names. Again, we're going to use store location, suppliers, store inventory, products, and product types. This is an example for a supermarket inventory management system. It's a very simplified model, but it'll work. Okay. All right. So let me go back to Visio and let me just double click where it says entity name, and I'm just going to type the names: store, location. Okay, and then when you finish, you click on the page and it goes back to normal size. And then the next one, I'm going to type here suppliers. Okay, and in the next one, I'm going to type store inventory. And in the next one, I'm going to double click and type here products. And then I'm just going to type in here and I'm going to type product types. Okay. All right, so let me size this down so we can see it again. Okay, so just to drive you through the data model briefly, this is a data model where a store location can have multiple store inventory items, one for each product that they carry. A product can have multiple store inventory items, one for each store location that carries the product. A supplier can have one or many products supplying to the supermarket, but a product must relate to one and only one supplier. A product type can be represented in multiple products in the store, but a product has to be related to a single product type. Okay, so now we have all the model characteristics in place. Let's go back to Visio, and there we are. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to type the primary keys, and as you can see, Visio has already given us boxes for primary keys, and it says PK in there. So we're going to type the primary keys in there, but I'm going to show you if you need to change the primary key, what you can do here. So I'm going to type on the first one, double click, and type LOC code, lock code. All right. For suppliers, I'm going to type supplier ID. For store inventory, I'm going to type, I'm going to leave this blank for a moment. For products, I'm going to type product ID. And for product types, I'm going to type here PROD type. Now, store inventory, as you can see in the diagram, in the instructions, it has a dual primary key composed of lock code and product ID. So the way to resolve that is, well, we can just double click here and type the first primary key, which is LOC code. Okay. And what we do is we can take this attribute symbol here, okay, and bring it over here. Actually, we don't need to do that right now. Let me just take this attribute naming here. I'm just going to double click on this, and I'm going to call this pro ID, and then I'll have to make it a primary key. So I have to double click, and I just right click, select a field like this, and you see it outlined. Then right click, okay, when it's selected, and select set primary key. So now we have a dual primary key. By convention, primary keys should be above the dotted line, so I'm just going to move it up like that. Sorry. And it got moved. Okay, so now I have the two of them. Now, another thing that is customary in convention is to boldface all the required attributes, and all primary keys should be required. In Visio 2007, Visio boldface the primary keys automatically. Here it doesn't. You have to do it yourself, but it's not a bad idea to do it. So I'm going to select this and right click and select set as required, and you can see that it changes to boldface, and I'm going to do that with all the primary keys, because all primary keys have to be are required. They cannot be blank and they cannot be duplicate. So I'm just going to select this to required, and I'm all done. Okay, so now I have all my primary keys, all my table names. The next step is to add foreign keys. So first of all, this location code is a primary key, but it's also a foreign key. So I'm just going to right click and set as a foreign key, and you see now that this field is a primary key and also a foreign key. It is a foreign key because it needs to be validated against the store location table, and the product ID is also a foreign key because it needs to be validated against the products table. It's right here. Okay, so I'm going to right click here, and I'm going to set this as a foreign key, so I have my two foreign keys in there. Now in product ID, I need to have two more foreign keys. So one is going to be product type, and the other one is going to be supplier ID. Okay, and I'm going to select this and right click and select it as a foreign key, and I'm going to do this and select it as a foreign key. Again, in Visio 2007, once you build the relationships, Visio would have automatically put the FK symbol in there, but Visio 2013 doesn't do that. Again, Microsoft has simplified this interface here. All right, so we have all the foreign keys. Now, here's the thing. If I need more attributes, for example, I need more attributes in here in the products table. So I'm just going to select the attribute and drag it in here, and it will be added to the field. To the table, and we have select 14 points for this. So I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to select 14 points. Now, here's the thing. If we drag, let's go to location code. I'm going to put my first non-key attribute here, which is called lock name. And then I'm going to go here and put my second attribute, which is manager. Now, the problem that I have with Visio 2013 is that there is too much blank space within the table and too much spacing between rows. You will see that if you need to draw a couple of tables with 10 fields or more, you will run out of paper very quickly. So I have a little trick. A little trick that I do is just a space-saving trick. For that, you have to remember that you have to have the primary keys as a single field, okay? Because we want to be able to mark them as primary key or required or anything else. Same thing with the foreign keys. So for example, this product type, I want to be able to highlight it individually. So I right click and set required, and I can boldface it, okay? However, for non-key attributes, which are all the remaining attributes I need to put in the table, I don't need to worry too much about designating primary key fields or foreign key fields or anything like that. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to delete this, and I'm going to show you a quick trick. It's a space-saving trick, basically. This is not really proper modeling, but visually it works, and it saves you a lot of space, so you can fit more fields in your data model. All I do is I put several fields in one for all the non-key attributes. So in this case, I put location name, just press enter, and then type the rest ones, the remaining ones. Press enter again. And as you can see, it was very easy to fit a whole bunch of fields in there. Now, from a purely diagram and perspective, Visio thinks this is a single field, not a whole bunch of fields. But because they're non-key fields and we're not going to do much with them, I decided to just put a whole bunch of them with a carriage return so that I can save space. And it works fine. The diagram will look fine. Not a problem. Okay? So I'm going to just drag this down a little more, drag this down a little more, and drag this one down a little more. Okay? So I have that. So now for suppliers, I'm going to do the same thing. I don't need this extra attribute. I'm just going to take this one here, and I'm going to type all the fields, which is SUP company, and the rest are REP, which is a representative email. This is the address, email address, city, state, SIP, and telephone for the supplier. Those over here are the addresses, city, state, etc. for the store location. Okay, so after address I have city, state, zip, and telephone. Okay, so I got all my fields in there. Now I'm going to go to store inventory, and I need to put 3 fields in here. It's QTY on hand, aisle number, and shelf number. And then on products, I need to come in here and I need to put PORD name, PORD description, just brand, and current price. So I'm running out of space a little bit, so I'm just going to take this table and move it up a little bit. I'm going to take this table and move it up a little bit, and then I'm going to take these two and move them together so they're aligned. Okay, and for product types, I can delete this, and I will click on this attribute and type name and description. So now I have all my tables, all my entities. Okay, all my primary keys, boldface, which means are required, marked as primary keys with a PK. I have all my foreign keys marked as FK. Some are primary key and foreign key. So this here is a dual primary key on store inventory. These are 2 separate foreign keys, one for store location and one for product ID. Okay, so now that I'm done with this, I'm ready to start drawing relationships. So drawing relationships is quite easy. You just drop the relationship line in here, and you will see that it comes with a one-to-many relationship created at once. The relationship between store location and store inventory is 1 to 0 or many. So this is already 1 to 0 or many. So I'm just going to take this, and I like to connect it to the frame. And then here I like it to connect it to the edge. Now what you're going to find is that Microsoft Visio is really difficult to use sometimes. I'm going to do this again. And I'm just going to connect it directly to the frame, but to the upper part of the frame. And then I'm going to take this and use the left arrow key to align it. You're going to find that you're going to struggle with these line connections in data models with Visio. It's a little cumbersome, but eventually you'll get the hang of it. So I need to take the relationship line now and I know that a supplier can supply 0 or many products. So I'm going to take this and connect it to one side of the table, and then connect it to the next side of the table. Okay. Now sometimes these connections, you have to be sure that you drag the connecting line and that you connect exactly to a connecting point, and then you can align. Sometimes things don't align well, don't worry too much about it. Okay, so now we need to make more connections. We need to have a line from products to store inventory. I'm going to do 1, to 0 or many. Okay, now one way to fix this a little bit is to take this line here and move it, but sometimes Visio can be a little temperamental when doing this. Okay, so there we go. We have a connecting line there. All right. So now we have all those lines connected. We need one more. I'm going to take this, and product type can have 0 or many products, but a product has to be of one and only one product type. Now, notice that all the relations are 1 to 0 or many. Sometimes we don't want that. So for example, we know that a store location, actually I built this backwards. Sorry, I made a mistake here. So this is 1 to 0 or many on the inventory side. There you go. So that's the right one. So in this case, this model is saying that a store location can have 0 or many store inventory items, but we know that's not true. We know that a store location must have at least one inventory item or many. So the way to change this, you notice here it says 0 or many, and then 1 and 1. So if I right click here, I can change the begin symbol. The begin symbol is the one that has the many in there, to 1 or more, or 1 and 1, or 0 and 1. So in this case, I'm going to change it to 1 or more. And you'll see that the relationship changed here from 0 to many to 1 and many. Okay. Similarly, I could right click on this line and set the end symbol and change that too. So for example, if I wanted 0 and 1, I could do that, but I don't want that. I just wanted to show you. All right. Same thing. Suppliers must supply products. So maybe I need to change this. So I'm going to right click and select the end symbol to, the begin symbol to 1 or more. Okay. And a product can be in 0 or many locations. Okay. And I think we can stay with this as it is. Okay. So we have the entire data model here. It doesn't look that pretty, but that's just the way Microsoft implemented it. But at least from a logical perspective, it shows the relationships we wanted to show. So it was to show you the full data model here. You can of course highlight the entire diagram and everything gets selected, and you can you can press Ctrl+C to copy this diagram, go to your Microsoft Word document, and then select Paste Special, and then select Enhance Meta File Diagram, and then you'll be able to copy your diagram. So once again, if this is very hard to show in your in your diagram, it's difficult to read, what you can do is just come here and change the font to something that is larger, but you will see that as it gets larger, things get messed up again. So I'm not going to do that too much. But one thing you can do is you can add another entity outside of that page, and Visio will automatically give you another page. And if you need more space vertically, you can just add an entity to the bottom and it'll create another page in there. So I would say build your diagram without worrying too much about where you have multiple pages. This dotted line tells you how many pages you have. Okay, and then when you're done, you can do Control A or select all of them, by grouping them. And then you can do Control C to copy and then go to your Microsoft Word, and the page breaks won't show up. Only the diagram elements will show up. So that's all there is to it, and please save your diagram and it'll give it a VSDX extension, and then you'll be able to work with it. Thank you.